DGA Awards nominations just got announced, and we have Jack Odiard for Emilia Perez, a movie that I do like but I don't love. I thought the movie went downhill towards the ending. And then we have Sean Baker for Anora, a movie that I love. I think it's a masterpiece. It's my arguably the second or third favorite movie of the year. We have Edward Berger for Conclave, again much deserving. I really love Conclave. We have Brady Corbett for The Brutalist. Now I haven't seen Brutalist, but from what I've heard, he totally deserves this nomination. And then we have the nomination that everyone is talking about, and I can't believe this. James Mangold gets in for A Complete Unknown. What does Denis Villeneuve have to do to get a Best Director nomination? He did not get it for Dune Part 1, and maybe he won't get it for Dune Part 2 as well when the time comes for the Oscar nomination. And I'm not one of those people who always advocates for the blockbuster movies. I usually think that the smaller movies have a lot more creativity, a lot more art to it. That's why I usually champion the Oscars all the time. But I do think that there is a blockbuster bias in the Oscars, and it's one of the biggest problems the Oscars have. Along with that, Dune 2 came out much earlier in the year, and it's very much clear that the Academy members have a short term memory loss or even amnesia. Like, they can't recall movies that came before July or August, maybe even later in the year. Now, we do have exceptions like Everything Everywhere, but that was a very different kind of a movie, and that's why it stayed for a much longer time. But in a year like this, you could see it's relevant, and I think it impacted the substance as well. I think Coralie Fargeat deserved to get over James Mangold as well. So both Denis Villeneuve and Coralie Fargeat for the substance, both of them did not get nominated for the DGA, and this is very puzzling to me. Now, I do expect one of these two to get in the Oscar predictions, and I would be much happier if one of those two made it, to be honest. Even though Dune Part 2 is my number one movie of the year, if Denis Villeneuve doesn't get it, I think Coralie Fargeat, I can totally get behind it. So, I'm convinced that the Oscars this year won't go the way I want it to go. I want Dune Part 2 to sweep everything, but clearly that won't happen. And if it isn't Dune Part 2, I wanted Anora to do well, but maybe even that is not happening. I think The Brutalist might sweep it. Now, I haven't seen The Brutalist. If it does sweep it, I won't mind, but I'll have to see the movie first. But I do think it's that kind of a movie that I can get behind the themes and all. But a movie like A Complete Unknown, not really sure why James Mangold is there from the buzz that I'm hearing, and that's why I'm scratching my head here, and I think many people are. And the things that I pointed out, like the amnesia thing, the short-term memory loss, and the fact that the Academy won't honor blockbusters. Remember, it took Christopher Nolan so long to get a Best Director nomination. He did not get one for Inception. That still puzzles my mind. And I think the same is happening with Denis Villeneuve with these Dune movies. People think these great action movies direct themselves. I think Dune part 1 and Part 2 are more than just action movies. These are not like the Avatar movies, which I also love, but I can understand why James Cameron did not get nominated for Best Director for Avatar 2. I can get that, even though I love it. But I do think that Dune Part 1 and Part 2 are more than just action movies. I think Dune Part 2 is an all-time masterpiece, and I really hoped that he would get recognized in the DGA. And the fact that he isn't, there's a real chance, I would say it's a 50-50 chance that he doesn't get the Oscar nomination, which would be a bummer, because I not only want him to get a nomination, I want him to win, which certainly isn't happening, but a nomination would be the win for him, and I think he absolutely deserves it. Even the critics would say that Dune Part 2 is less about the script, it's more about directing. I think it's a director's movie, and the same goes for the substance as well, which is why if maybe Denis didn't get in, why didn't Coralie get in? That's the part that's annoying me the most. So if Denis Villeneuve didn't get in and Coralie Fargeat got in, I would be much happier. And this is nothing to do with getting a female director in there. Like, I'm usually one of those people who believes in the merit, so the top 5 deserving movies should be there. But this year we had a great movie in the substance. We had the opportunity to nominate Coralie Fargeat, and we didn't. Last year I did not have an issue, maybe previous years as well I did not have that much of an issue, but this year I really do, because not only did my favorite director not get in, I think that if he didn't, maybe she should have. But yeah, maybe that's just my opinion. Maybe when I see a complete unknown, I'm blown away. Maybe it's better than Dune Part 2, which I highly doubt, but it's really puzzling to me. I usually champion films, so I look forward to these movies. I don't want to bash on any director and all, but I do think that there's a disconnect between the Academy members and the public and even the critics. I think even the Academy members and the critics are not on the same page, because I think many people think that these Academy members are some geniuses and all, and they do know more about films, but they do have amnesia, guys. Like I don't have any doubt about it. Great performances, great movies have been ignored in the past because they came out earlier in the year, and I do think that these people need to maybe grow up and look at the entire year and make up their mind and not have these short-term memory losses where they just ignore the movies that came out earlier in this year. Many horror movies have suffered because of that, and there's this genre bias as well, blockbuster bias, genre bias. Horror movies don't get in, action movies don't get in, and it's really frustrating for me. So yeah, those were my thoughts on the DGA nominations. If I had to predict, the top four are the same, but in the fifth spot, I'll have either Denis Villeneuve or Coralie Fargeat. Now, that's not just what I want. I do think that's actually going to happen. So I'm really keeping my fingers crossed that the Oscars get at least this nomination part right, even though clearly Denis Villeneuve won't win. I'm hoping that Sean Baker does, but even his chances seem lower. All the momentum is for, I think, The Brutalist, and I always told everyone that it would be The Brutalist versus Honora, and I still stick to that. And people are taking Emilia Perez seriously. I'm not. I think the movie is very divisive. Like I said, I do like the movie, but I don't love it, and I think there are many people like that, and there are many people who straight up hate it as well. There's a lot of divisiveness there, so it won't make it till the end. That's my prediction. But yeah, those were my thoughts on the DGA Awards and a glimmer of my Oscar predictions as well. If you like this video, please do like and subscribe, and many thanks for watching.